Hi everyone, and yes, here I've got a discussion with Amy today. Hello, Amy.
Hi, how are you? Hope
Good to
everyone's
see you.
okay.
Yes, good to see you. We have said we'd hop on again and do another one of the hot topics, which is about receiving a text message and attracting more contact. So you and I said we would do a discussion just on that today because it is very important to many people at the moment. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Yeah, I think this is a really good topic because I think it's the source of a lot of anxiety when you're on the journey of manifesting a specific person. And just so you know, I mean, I've been here before where it has been dead silence, and I can still vividly remember the anxiety that brought with it because you can't see what's happening. You're doubting yourself. And also, as I said to you on the call, Agnes, I mean, I've lost days of my life trying to manifest text messages from somebody and, really being in that desperate, needy space where I couldn't focus on anything else. I was constantly checking my phone,
Mm.
waiting for this message to come in. And I truly did abandon myself for this. And so I just wanted to join you on this topic because there is a better way of doing this that's more healthy, that you are going to forget really about needing the text message. Because once I learned to let go of needing this message, or the belief really underneath it, which was I won't be happy without it, I
Yeah.
really had to break that belief down so that I could just shift myself away from it and do other things that I enjoyed. And when I'd done that and was working on myself, I was doing my self love, bing, it came through. And it seemed so easy once I'd done that. It's just that because I was so focused on it. But because of the focus and because of the obsession and the obsessive thoughts and the obsessive checking, it actually made that period of my life really, really awful because, consciously I was thinking, why can't I leave my phone alone? Why why am I so obsessed with this when I know that I could be doing other things?
Yeah.
But a lot of people I speak to as well, they're sitting there and they're waiting for this contact to happen, and
Yes.
they can't really shift out of that needy, desperate zone to actually allow the communication to come in.
And I think too, I remember having this discussion with the man in my life about this topic a while back. And, we were saying it's not the text message you want, it's the connection, it's the acknowledgement, it's the being seen, the being heard, and having a moment with that person. The text message isn't the be all and end all. It's just the surface thing that you think you want, but really there's some deeper things underneath. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to have a particular person in your life. And we talk about manifesting a specific person a lot because it is such a huge topic. And realizing exactly like what you said, that there has to be a shift in us, that I can be happy without this. And I need to look at my own, in a way, it's like an addiction. It's I need to get the text message so I can it's like a hit of a
Yeah.
drug. I mean, they call it love addiction for a reason. There is a
Mm.
12-step fellowship called Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous, and this is a part of love addiction. So it's like when you are waiting, and in a way, you're looking for the external love energy dart. Boom, there's the text
Mm-hmm.
message. It is like a dart. You take the hit, and then you feel so much better when you read the message and you get all excited, and then your whole demeanor changes, your emotional state changes, your mind relaxes, your obsession goes. But it's not continuing to chase the bright, shiny object, because if you get it, you feel amazing and euphoric. And if you don't get it, you crash and burn. So you're like a puppet with its strings cut if you don't
You
get what
are.
Yeah.
You are. And another thing I noticed with me and also clients as well is that you get the text message and you're going to feel like that for once you receive it anyway, you're going to feel the dopamine hit, but it doesn't last.
No.
And, you know, in a couple of days' time, you're going to be stuck on the train of trying to manifest a text message, trying to manifest communication again.
Yeah.
And you just get stuck in this cycle. And like you said, it's like a roller coaster of, oh, I've got a message. And then when I haven't got it, oh my gosh, I feel awful. And,
Yes.
you know, even when you do get the text message, you know, that feeling, that warm feeling doesn't last very long.
Mm.
And that again is an indicator that there's something else going
Yeah.
on deeper that's underneath that as to why
Yeah.
you think this text message is going to meet your needs essentially. For,
Yes.
like you say, like communication, to be seen, to be prioritized, to be heard,
Mm.
to know that you're significant to
Yes.
somebody. And you know, it wasn't really until I sort of let all that go and understood that actually it isn't the text message that I want. It is the feeling of the connection, of being loved, of being wanted, and being prioritized by somebody that I want.
Mm.
So when I worked on those things, which, you know, I'm sure that's what you advise your clients as well. When you work on those things and start to give that to yourself
Mm.
and at least fill your cup up halfway, you're going to find you're going to find two things. Either one, that manifesting a text message is going to be super easy for you because you're already there.
Yeah.
Or, you know, another thing that I've noticed is that people try and manifest a text message, but they're not feeling that great about it. And I looked at this actually not long ago and thought, well, why would that be? Because I used to be in a space where I would imagine this text and it would really make me feel good, but it stopped making me feel good because it wasn't what I really wanted.
Mm.
And it was really hard to get into the correct state
Yeah.
because the message wasn't what I really wanted. What I wanted was consistent communication, a relationship. I wanted
Yeah.
to feel loved. So that really stopped my text message journey where I committed to myself, I'm going to stop doing this now because
Yes.
it's just keeping me in this vicious cycle, in this emotional roller coaster. It wasn't helping me. It wasn't making me feel good at all.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very disruptive of your day when you're in that, and I think too, what I notice when I'm talking to people is that there is a specific amount of time that's acceptable to wait for a text message. And then once it goes over that point, then it's like, why haven't they replied to me? Now I'm not important. I don't matter. I'm insignificant. So I saw them online. They were replying to somebody else, or they were, on social media, and I can see, but then they're not answering my message. And when you hear those things, you go, okay, what's going on in me that this is the amount of time? Where did I get that from? That someone should answer me within an hour, or someone should answer me within a day, or someone should answer me within, whatever amount of time. And it's different amounts of time for different people. And maybe the people that are watching this, if they would feel to enlighten me and you, what is your, say, reasonable amount of time for you to receive a text message back from something? And I'm talking about romantic sexual relationships. I'm not talking about friends or family or work or whatever. I'm talking specifically about this particular relationship. What's reasonable for you, and where did you get that from? Where did that come from? Because that's really interesting too. It's like, is that from me? Is that from watching my family? Is that from me feeling anxious, so I want it faster? What's driving you saying how much the amount of time is?
It is, and
So,
sometimes it's just down to poor dating advice.
yes.
I found because, you know, I think particularly the women among us, I think we are taught that if a man doesn't text you back within this amount of time, that means that he doesn't want you. And I'd fallen into that as well. I'd fallen into, well, you know, if he can't be interested in me if he's not responding immediately. And
Yeah.
that's just not true. He's just
Yes.
busy.
Or
And,
he's at
you know,
work.
exactly. And maybe it's that he wants to have time to have a proper conversation with you. So
Yeah.
wants to make sure that he's sat down, he's finished what he's doing so that he can have a conversation with you. And
That's it.
you know, but at the time, I really didn't think that I was so stuck in the game. I suppose it was game playing, it was manipulation where, you know, if he didn't text me back for 2 hours, I'd think, right, I'm not texting him back for 2 hours either. And what
Yes.
that just did was it just blocked the consistent communication that I wanted, because I was so into this game playing, manipulative space, in this state where I thought that I could manipulate my manifestation happening. And
it's also misinterpretation, because, you know, say someone's working the night shift and they're sleeping during the day, they can't get back to you because they're actually asleep. Things like that. You go, well, once I know that information, then I go, oh, hang on, it's not about me. It's not about them not wanting to contact me. It's not about them not liking me. My interpretation can be totally pretzel twisted and wrong.
Exactly. And, you know, again, it's something that I've done myself, where I've been in a state where if he hasn't texted me back by the time that I've wanted him to, I've been so snotty. And you know, I've really been, you know, in this pattern of passive aggressive.
Yes.
Because he, you know, I took it personally.
Yes.
I took it so personally, and that wasn't how it intended. But by engaging in that and engaging in those dysfunctional relationship patterns, I almost ruined the relationship beyond repair. So I had to really break all of that in order to allow the type of communication I wanted, and
so
the communication that I deserved, I suppose. Yeah.
Yes. Let me ask you, Amy, what do you think if you text someone that is of interest to you, romantic sexual relationship, or someone you would like to have that with? When you send a text message, what do you think is a reasonable amount of time? Because I'll be interested to see if you and I think similarly, because we've never talked about this before. This is the first time.
No, we haven't. And I think now, if I'm in the space that I am now, if I had, you know, had a love interest that I was interested in, I don't think I would put a time scale on it at all. I don't think I would, because I'm not dependent on it anymore.
Yes.
And I'm not thinking that it's personal anymore. So if I text somebody who, say, for example, I met on Plenty of Fish, or, you know, a dating app like things are now,
yeah,
you know, I wouldn't take it personally. I just think, oh, well, maybe they're just not a good fit for me.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yes.
But obviously it's different when you're in a relationship situation where you're dating.
Yes.
And also that it's perfectly okay to communicate to your partner as well about what expectations you have, so that, you know, it's out there, it's on the table, so no one's actually feeling hurt. You know, you are well within your right to say to somebody, you know, I really like daily communication. Is this something that you would be prepared to do? Because I personally like feeling connected to the person that I'm dating.
Yeah.
And if that you know, if that person, say for example, like you say, works nights and is asleep during the day, maybe there's a compromise that can happen.
Yes.
And, you know, I think this is another sort of game that's perpetrated within the dating world. You know, they should know what I need. They should know.
Yeah.
And, you know, so when you're in a dating situation with somebody, it's perfectly okay to express what your needs are. And, you know, as long as you're doing it in a respectful way and you're not putting pressure on that person to solely be responsible for meeting your needs, meet your cup halfway, then, you know, chances are that they're likely to come up with some sort of compromise or say, yeah, of course we can do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it makes it so much easier.
I think I've been very fortunate that the person I'm with is more consistent communicator than I am. So I'm really grateful for that. It's always been multiple times a day, unless we were having an argument about something, and then there'd be a few days where you wouldn't talk. But once you work through a lot of that stuff after you finish the honeymoon phase, you tend to fall into a nice, easy way of doing it. But yeah, I mean, I think if someone hasn't messaged you back within a week, I wouldn't be thinking, why didn't they message me back? I'll be thinking, oh my goodness, I hope they're all right. My concern would be, a week would be enough time to respond. My thing would be, God, I hope something hasn't happened. And I would want, my impulse would be, I'd want to check if they were all right, not about me. Why didn't you message me? It would be, I hope you're okay, because that isn't that common these days, that people wait that long, unless something's happened to their children, their parents, their job, their health. That's when, extended periods of time can go past, and that's totally understandable. But in a regular everyday where nothing too serious is happening, within a week, if you haven't messaged me back, and I know you like me and I like you, my concern would be for the other person.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if it's like friends and things like that, then
Yeah.
absolutely, of course you would. But like I say, in terms of manifesting consistent communication, which is what people want, they're not, majority of the time, they're not wanting a text message. The text message is just the need for reassurance from the outside that this works, that manifestation works, and that is absolutely fine.
Yeah.
In fact, I've used the times where I've manifested texts where it seemed impossible. I use that now to remind myself just how powerful we all are.
Yeah.
I think back to, oh gosh, can I remember what it felt like when that message finally came through?
Yeah.
And I use that to motivate myself as well. But when you're aiming for consistent, loving communication, that takes much more of a deeper shift than manifesting a single text message, because you've got to shift into the internal state of being the person that already receives that.
Yeah.
And what does that person believe about themselves where they are receiving that sort of communication?
Yeah.
And when I sort of shifted into that, that was really what opened up the communication that I wanted, so that I wasn't sitting for hours on end trying to manifest text after text after text. And becoming anxious about it. I just shifted into the person that already had that type of communication.
So, okay, let's break that down. How did you do that?
So first of all, I had to really understand what I was using these text messages for. What need were they filling? And, I noted all those down, and I looked at, okay, how can I meet these needs myself, even just halfway? How can I do that? And that might be, for example, as you said, the need for communication or the need for connection. I would text a friend, or I'd get on the phone to my mum, or, I'd do whatever it took to sort of meet that need, to prove to myself that I am responsible for meeting my own needs, and I can meet my own needs. And what you will find is, once you start doing that, the urgency and the desperation for the text message kind of goes away on its own. And then what I did was, okay, so this is what I want. I want consistent communication that's loving. Who am I when I have that? How am I different? How is my day different? How do I feel differently? How do I think differently? So, I'm not saying that this happened overnight. And sometimes I did check my phone and notice that he hadn't texted me. But I would just remind myself that, I'm a significant person. Of course he wants to speak to me, because I'm a great partner. I've got so much to give this relationship. I'm important. I matter. And I would literally remind myself of those, just so I could break the pattern of needing this message. And it really didn't take that long. It probably, I've had it come through within a week. In the past,
but it's working it out, isn't it? Like being,
exactly.
You got to look below what you're really asking for and go, what have I got going on that I need to look at and then meet my own needs on? And I think to get to the point where you ask yourself those questions, there has to be a reasonable amount of awareness that just getting a text message isn't the be all and end all.
Yes.
So I love how you did that. That's a really good way of doing it.
Yeah, and in my opinion, most desires that you have are to meet some sort of need.
Mm.
And the subconscious mind is a needs meeting machine. And the subconscious mind doesn't care whether it's healthy or not. It'll go for it in the fastest way, or what it thinks is the fastest way possible, in the most instant way, which is, okay, I really want to speak to this person because I feel terrible. And a text message is going to stop that. So I'm going to manifest a text message.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, instead of looking, okay, why is this affecting me to this degree?
Yeah.
And what can I give myself
to
help myself on this?
With women, Amy, it's like, oh, I've had a long week at work and I'm really tired and I just want my person to look after me. You know, we go into that because we're emotional creatures, not saying men aren't, but we can go into that space much more often. And when you're there, you know, maybe you need to have a bath, maybe you need to just be alone and make yourself your favorite mac and cheese or whatever, and meet your own needs with what you know you need. I am tired. I feel like I'm going to cry because I've been so overwhelmed and overloaded because of my week. So maybe I do need to have a cry. Maybe I need to be alone, and maybe I need to, you know, reach out to a girlfriend and have a chat woman to woman, because women understand that space. So it's not that you have to get that from the other person, as in your romantic sexual relationship, and make them the one that's responsible for making you feel better, which is, I think, the child-parent dynamic.
I was just about to say that, actually. Usually when we're looking for our partners to look at, what we're really looking for is for our partners to parent us.
Yeah.
And that was really hard for me to hear.
Yes.
Because I'd grown up thinking, well, you know, you have a husband so that your husband looks after you and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But, you know, that is what it is. I was expecting my partner to parent me.
Yes.
And to make me feel better. And, you know, it must have been so exhausting for him.
Yeah.
But again, it was just the wake-up call I needed to start parenting myself and stop relying, you know, stop outsourcing that onto other people.
Yeah.
And incidentally, I you know, became a person that actually wanted to be where they wanted to communicate with me more, because I wasn't so draining.
Yeah. I mean, we are draining when we are like that, because we're not meeting our own. Even sometimes just go to bed, just go to sleep. And you wake up and you feel so much better, because your exhaustion, your tiredness, your eye tiredness, your neck and shoulders, your weariness from whatever you're doing at work or whatever, that we just have so much battery life for the day. And when that's gone, it's like, well, what is it that I need to make myself feel better, so that when I do have contact and communication, I'm in a place of being able to give to this rather than trying to get something from it. And I think that makes a huge difference.
It is. And when I'd manifested these messages, I mean, I'm going back sort of 4 or 5 years ago when I was doing this. I was in a position where I felt pretty confident and secure in myself, that when he did message me, it was a fun conversation.
Yeah.
It wasn't a, why have you dumped me? Why, you know, it wasn't a barrage of, you know, insults or anything. It was a fun conversation.
Yeah.
Rather than a resentful one, which was going to push him away even further. And incidentally, those times where I did receive the text message, we did get back into the relationship again.
Yeah.
But again, even when I was in the relationship and I found that I was getting sucked back into old ways, I would then try and manifest text messages again, and it just wasn't working, and it was putting so much pressure on the relationship, until I just fully let go and thought, right, okay, what do I really want here? I want a relationship where we live together, is what I wanted at the time.
Yeah.
So what's a text message got to do with that, really?
Yeah.
you know, what that, if anything, that state encompasses text messages. So living in the end of receiving a text message wasn't enough for me anymore. I wanted the relationship. So at a certain point, I just let go of texting altogether and thought, right, okay, this is what I want. I'm going to stop focusing so much on the communication now
Yeah.
and be the person that has the relationship that I wanted in its entirety.
Yeah. Ah, nice. I remember, it's funny talking about this because it takes you back to when you were really, you know, disturbed and upset and traumatized and up and down and all of them emotionally by all this stuff. And I remember I was in Australia and my guy was in London, and you know, because we had the time difference, and then it was like he was at work or I was at work, and there'd often be delays in communication. And you know, and then maybe we'd have an argument about something. We would talk for 3 days, and I'd be like, oh, you know, at work, couldn't eat, couldn't sleep at night. I totally wound myself up into a total, you know, knot. And I was thinking, what would a person who gets a lot of text messages, what would they be thinking? And I came up with this affirmation. Why does he text me so much? I'm busy. I've got other stuff to do. Now, that seemed so far from where I was at that point. It used to make me laugh my head off because it was absurd. It was absurd. Anyway, I did it. And it got to the point where he would contact me so much, and I go, look, I've got to, you know, I've got to go to work, or, you know, I've got a coaching session, or I've got, you know, I'm doing my exercises, I'll contact you after. But it got to the point where, and even today, you know, it's like I'm making scones, as you saw, and I'm like, look, I've got to finish this before I hop on this discussion with Amy. I said, look, I'll ring you later. And it was like I was trying to, you know, but I thought, how funny that that's the experience now after having that thought that was not natural for me, because I was someone who always felt that I was starved for attention, contact, text messages, communication, whatever it was. So it really it makes me laugh now looking back at, that is who you have to be. That is how you think if you are getting a lot of communication. That's the thoughts you have.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's really funny you mentioned that, because the way that I used to handle those situations was I used to say to myself, well, we live together now, so I don't want text messages. We live together.
Yeah.
We live together. We talk all the time because we're in the same house. If we weren't anywhere close to that. And and that's how I used to sort of divert my attention away. I used to think, well, we live together. I don't need his text anymore.
Yeah.
We talk in person.
Yes. Yes.
And I'd leave it, I'd drop it the best I could and move on with something else. And it's just these little tactics, isn't it, that, you know, that divert your attention away from checking your phone and staring at your phone and checking if they're online. And you know, it's almost like a delusional belief, sometimes, that you have to have, because like you say, you were so far removed from that, and I was as well. I mean, he was saying, no way, no, how am I going to sell my house and move in with you? And you know, I used to think, oh right, okay, well, you know.
What was that last word you said, because it dropped out?
I think when he said to me he was not ever going to sell his house for me and never going to move in, I just think, oh well, okay, you will, because I think you will. And you know, I don't need your text messages. So if there were days where there was no contact, I didn't care anymore. I wasn't panicked about it anymore, because I knew I was in that state of, but we live together, so we wouldn't be texting all the time anyway, because I'd be coming home and he'd be there.
Oh, it is good to go back and look at all these things, because I know it's helpful to the people that watch our channels, us discussing, you know, how we moved through things, how we broke it down, how we kept working at it, and then now we both have, you know, wonderful relationships that are quite long term, and that it's maintenance, but we still work on our self-love, we still work on our thinking, we still work on our self-care or whatever it is on a daily basis. These things are, and it's not like, oh, I got to do this now so that I don't put any of that on him. It's like now you just do it because it feels good to do it, and it's just what you do now. It's just a lifestyle now, and that's how you keep fertilizing the relationship, is by you just enjoy doing that work on yourself. It's a pleasure to look after yourself. This is how infinite intelligence made us, and we're looking after, what we've been given. And it's a real blessing to have the ability to look after yourself. It's a blessing to have a bit of time to look after yourself. It's a blessing to have, the weekend, or, when you're working a lot, you've got to find those little pockets, but making that a priority, rather than doing this all day on social media, that time can be spent on this, and eventually you get better habits. You really get
better habits. And subconsciously it will start to become normal for you, automatic.
Yes.
So you stop really thinking, okay, I'm feeling down now, so what can I do to help pick myself up? You just do it automatically. It's intuitive. It's not this, it doesn't feel like effort anymore.
No.
But when you're at the start of this, where you haven't got self-love and you haven't got good self-care practices, it can feel really, it's really hard, and there's a lot of effort that you're putting into yourself. But that's all temporary. It will come naturally to you, just the same as when you're in your relationship. At first it does take effort, but it will start to be natural for you. It will become natural. And just to say as well that for anybody there on the beginning of their journey, if you can't get to the end of having the relationship, that's okay. That's okay.
Yes.
And if you want to prove this to yourself by manifesting the text message, it's actually a really good way to motivate you. It's actually a really good piece of evidence that you've got there now. To think whatever it is that you're trying to manifest, you think to yourself, I manifested that text message when it seemed impossible.
Yes. That's true. That's so true. And you really you get more relaxed. You get more, it's not even I wouldn't even use the word patient, because I hear that a lot. I just need more patience. No, patience is when you're interpreting things in a way that you're missing out on what you want, and that you're being punished and you have to wait. But if you're not interpreting it from that place anymore, that you're moving through your day, and this is a day you're never going to get back, and let's see how good I can make it for myself and with whoever I come in contact with. It's like you're moving through your day with a richness and a balancedness and a mindfulness. I mean, they call it mindfulness, but this is what it is. And it's not in the big moments, it's in the very ordinary moments. The very ordinary moments. And, if you can do your day without rushing around, without manic thoughts, and you go, okay, I'm feeling a bit anxious, let me do the Ho'oponopono as I go to work, or let me do a meditation because I'm tired at the end of the day and I just want to stretch out and let go of my day, and you put these things in place that just recharge your battery a bit, and then it drops, and you recharge your battery a bit and it drops, because it will go up and down as the day goes on. And especially when you go out to work and then you've got to do 9 to 5, and then you come back, and that's when you get more negative. The more tired you are, the more exhausted you are, the more negative you are. So the less exhausted you are, the more balanced you are, the more grounded and calm you are, then you are less inclined to want a text message, because you are in a state of satisfaction rather than dissatisfaction.
Yeah, that's really, really good advice. Yeah, I would second that, because if you make your goal to just be stable, then the outside world will reflect that back. It will reflect that stability back to you. It will reflect that security back to you.
So true.
And also you're gonna find life so much easier and much more flowing, and much less where when you're in an anxious state anyway, it just takes a little thing to push you over the edge. that stops happening, because
Yeah.
you've got more bandwidth for things, because your baseline is stable.
Yes.
So
For
these
sure.
things that, you know, used to trigger anxiety and you don't have the same impact as what they had before, you can handle things a lot better.
Yes.
Whereas when you're tired and when you're feeling anxious anyway, these little things, you are going to hyper focus on them. You are
Yes.
going to hyper focus on somebody not texting you. And then, you know, you'll spend your evening, instead of resting and sleeping, you'll spend your evening visualizing the text message, trying to make it happen.
Yeah.
And, but, you know, just, I know it's easier said than done, but just let go the best you can. You don't have to be perfect at it.
Yes.
The best you can. Even if you can think to yourself, I'm going to let this go for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
For 10 minutes, I'm just going to go and think about something else.
Yeah.
And
well,
build it
you know,
up.
Amy, there was years ago, I remember hearing the best description of letting go. Letting go is putting your full attention elsewhere. And I remember thinking, that's so simply worded, but that's what it is. And holding your attention elsewhere, not coming back to it. So, and yes, I agree. It takes practice. It does. It's not something when you want to be with someone that you just get really good at in a weekend. You know, it is. It's a skill. It's a skill, and it's like going to the gym and developing your little muscles. It's a mental muscle that's being developed by practicing it.
Yeah, and it's a good thing to have a list of things that you really, really enjoy doing, so that you can sort of do your techniques and then think, I'm going to do this thing that I really love doing after this, so I can learn how to drop it.
Yeah.
I can learn how to drop it where it's not something that, you know, I'm resistant to doing, because I'm going to do something that I really enjoy doing now.
Yes. Yeah. Amy, have you done a few YouTubes on the topic of more contact and text message, like what we're talking about today? Have you done?
I've done one video about manifesting text, and I'll go through in that video exactly how I did it. So I'll give you the technique that I use, but also how I managed to sort of let go of the whole idea of text messages completely.
Excellent. I'll put the link down below in this discussion for those of you that would like to have a listen to that. And I've done some too. Great. I can't remember how many or where, but this topic's been in the forefront for probably the last 6 months. So there will be some things for those of you that have made it to the end of this discussion with Amy and I. You will have more information to go and check out after, if that's something that interests you. So, any last words, my sweet Amy?
Well, hopefully we can have, you know, more of these chats. I really enjoy jumping on with you, and you know, I think these topics are so good because we've both been there and felt, you know, the anxiety, and I think it's good for people to just see that, you know, as a real life example, that, you know, this is what the end is. It's not the text message, and you know that really that your desire can happen, and if we've done it, anybody can do it.
I can't say that I was extremely gifted in this area. It took me a long time. I used to think, how many years have you been doing Neville and Abraham Hicks and you still can't do it? You know, I used to beat myself with, my God, if people knew how much of an idiot you really are. Like, this was like, you know, 20 years ago. Just couldn't get it. And then, of course, the self-criticism, the self-judgment on top of it. So now, before we go, can you indulge me and say my mum again? Because I just love when you say my mum.
My mom.
I just love your accent. It's every time you mention it, it's just so, I love it. I love it. I love it. And now, for those that don't know, Amy's north of London and I'm down south in London, so the accents do change. My accent obviously is not from England, it's from Australia, but there's a real joy and appreciation being in this country. Hearing those differences, it is absolutely brilliant. I'm going to get you to do me on the loop, my mom.
Yeah, you can have me as your text tone.
Well, everyone, thanks for joining us. Amy, you want to say bye to them?
Thank you for joining me, everybody. And yes, happy manifesting.
And bye from me as well. Amy will be back with me because we enjoy breaking things down for you and hopefully going over things that we were not good at all, that you may still be experiencing, and that we can break down the mechanics of it for you. If there's anything that is a pressing topic that you would like to throw down in the comments in the thread, let us know, and we will look at answering those for you. Lots of love, everyone, and we will see you, as always, in the next YouTube.